Well, this one has been a long time coming. This time I want to take a look at another indie game, but one I had already reviewed. If you've been subscribed to this channel for almost 2 years, then you already know that on the 16th of September I took a look at Undertale. It was bad, so that's why I'm taking another look at this game, both to make an improved version and to see if my opinions of this game are still true.
Enjoy the show.
Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new episode of Trash or Treasure as well as a new re-review. Tonight I'll be taking a second look at Undertale. Undertale is an RPG which was independently developed and published by Toby Fox. It was originally released on September 15, 2015 for PC and OS X before getting ported to Linux in July of 2016, followed by the PS4 and Vita in August of 2017, the Switch in 2018, and finally the Xbox One and the Series X and S in March of 2021. Undertale was inspired by the likes of other games such as the Mario & Luigi series, Mother/Earth, Bound for the RPG part, as well as bullet hell games like the Touhou Project series. So before I talk about the story, for the first time I'm giving a spoiler warning. This most likely means jack all given how popular the game is, but for those who haven't, then get it. Especially if you have a PS Vita, because that thing is an underrated handheld. So the story of Undertale, without going into too much detail, has us in control of the nameless child, who I won't give their real name, and we are in a place called the Underground, a realm similar to ours where monsters were banished after a war between them and the humans broke out. The child then comes across Flowey the Flower, who explains the main mechanic of the game before backstabbing us. We are then saved by Toriel, who is the caretaker of the ruin and is most likely furry bait number, let's see here. 10,001. We then traverse the ruins and we tell Toriel we want to go home to the surface. Why? Given how the world currently is, why would you want to go back to the hell that is the surface? But we do end up finding Toriel, but with her teaching us the meaning of mercy, she lets us pass. Toriel also warns us about King Asgore Dreamer, who is obviously the king of all monsters in the underground. And this is where I want to stop my story summary, mostly because I want you all to experience the game for yourselves. But to give a tad bit more detail without going too far, we meet with the Skeleton Brothers Sans and Papyrus and Snowden, later Undyne, the head of the Royal Guard and Waterfalls, Alphys, the Royal Scientist, and her assistant Metaton, and finally we come face to face with Asgore himself. Now I should also take note that there are 3 routes you could take: neutral, true pacifist, and genocide. Neutral is already given to you. You can kill some enemies but not everything, like you would in your standard RPG. True pacifist is where you kill absolutely nothing and go on dates with all of the characters minus Toriel and Asgore. And finally, and this is gonna be my biggest unpopular opinion ever, my personal favorite, the genocide route, where you kill absolutely everything. The reason why I enjoyed the genocide route is just because the twisted feeling you have whenever you kill something you initially spared, and the fact that you one-hit kill most of the bosses. The only 2 bosses that actually put up a fight are Undyne and Sans. Undyne really isn't that hard if you have a good strategy, but Sans, just major This guy might be one of the hardest bosses I have ever fought against. And this is coming from someone who beaten Souls games in his spare time. Multiple times, may I remind you.
Shit! What the fuck? No, damn it!
So before I give away any more spoilers, I think the story is pretty great. Of course, True Pacifist is considered the canonical ending, as it is with most games giving player freedom of choice to be good, neutral, or evil, but overall, like I said, the story is pretty good. But is the gameplay just as good? Gameplay of Undertale has us take control of the nameless child, who you could give a name to. Just for the sake of comedy, I'm calling the child Cuck. This is what my humor has devolved into. Name of the game is Walk, Solve Puzzles, Fight, Spare, or Kill, and die. The game is like your standard turn-based RPG where you and the enemy or enemies take turns attacking. This is where the game shows its bullet hell nature, where instead of enemies having standard attacks, they have bullet hell mini-games. Another spin to the RPG formula is the use of acting and or sparing. Acting basically allows us to try and get to know our foes so they won't attack us, and thus allowing us to spare them. This is definitely a major spin on the traditional RPG formula. Fighting is pretty simple actually. When you select attack, you have this gauge which determines how strong the attack itself is. The closer you are to the middle, the stronger your attack is. So overall, the gameplay is pretty good, and is a pretty good spin on traditional RPGs like Final Fantasy. Visually, I say it's pretty good. I'm a slight sucker for pixel art, and this game is pretty good. It was made using the Game Maker Studio program, which honestly surprised me, because usually most independent RPGs, they usually use the RPG Maker engine for making RPGs. But overall, the game looks pretty good. Now let's talk OST. My god, I love it. It was all composed by Toby Fox himself using FL Studio. Turns out Toby is self-taught, much like former Final Fantasy composer Nobuo Uematsu. Undertale's OST was inspired by music from SNES RPGs like Earthbound and Legend of the Seven Stars, which is a story for another day. Some of my favorite tracks from Undertale include Waterfall, Battle Against a True Hero, and Hopes and Dreams. Megalovania was also one of them before it gets more overused than Let It Go, and just as much as Last Surprise from Persona 5. So, let's recap everything I just went over. I think the story is pretty good. The gameplay is also really great. Visually, for a game using Game Maker Studio, it looks pretty great. And that OST, amazing. It's simply magnificent. So here are my closing thoughts. Overall, I still think Undertale is really good. It may be a huge shame that we can't experience our first time playing this game, mostly due to some of us experiencing the game via Let's Plays or other reviews, but I still think you should give this game a chance if you haven't already. Just avoid the fanbase like COVID. To quote Cringer Reviews, it'll make you cringe so hard that you can power a cringe generator to power up both the Cringe Blimp and Cringe City at the same time. Overall, Undertale gets my new score of an 8.5 out of 10. If there is some way to re-experience the first time playing this game, then I will be giving this game a much higher score. But now, I want to know from you all, did you enjoy Undertale? What's your favorite track other than Megalovania? And is it something you could recommend to a friend? Leave your answers in the comments below. Give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and while you're here, consider subscribing to the channel and to be notified whenever I make a new video. As always, my social media links are down below. I've been HollerKid, and I will see you all in that next video. Take care, everybody. Welcome to my cringe hell. As you can see, I've knocked over so many chairs because I get so smashed with the brothers.
What? This really isn't Smash or a brother.
Well, you see, it's a gamer pad. Not many girls come in here because I get friend zoned so frequently. But that's okay.
I'd like to be in the friend zone. I like friends.
It's not as pleasant as you may think. They don't treat you like a friend. They treat you like an item. Sometimes I wish I could be more than just an accessory to these people. But unfortunately, as a gamer, I don't get respect.
Well, I'm not a gamer. Maybe they'll respect me.
That just makes you a beta cuck. That's the difference between you and I, Papyrus Undertale. I'm an alpha gamer!